Gary Lerude, Technical Editor at Microwave Journal. I'd like to welcome you to the first in a series of video conversations discussing marketing in the age of COVID-19, developed and presented by Microwave Journal and Signal Integrity Journal. We're living through an unprecedented time, as you, no doubt, are experiencing. COVID-19 has upended the globe, sending the healthy into isolation to avoid infection, while the sick flood the hospitals. When life is no longer normal, how are the companies in our industry responding to protect their employees, meet customer commitments, help their communities, and manage financially? How are they pivoting their broad marketing plans to communicate with customers while being sensitive to the human cost? To explore these questions, we've invited senior leaders from several companies to share their perspectives and what they are doing. We have 5 episodes planned and begin today with this one, Pivoting the Company to Survive a Pandemic. I'm joined by Brandi Frye, the Corporate VP for Marketing at Qorvo. With revenue of more than $3 billion, Qorvo is an RF and power management semiconductor company with operations around the world. Brandi, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to see you, Gary, even if it is through video. Thank you.
And my other guest is Mike Hallman, the Associate Publisher at Microwave Journal. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you both. Thanks for joining us, Brandi. Appreciate it.
You bet.
So let's start the conversation. First of all, Brandi, how are you personally managing during this uncertain time?
Well, unlike my nice privacy screen, I am not in Bora Bora, unfortunately. But I'm doing okay, trying to exercise every day, make sure that connecting with people, even if it is, over screens. I've got a single mom of 3 kids, so thankfully I have one who is now a graduate, so she's able to help the other 2 with their homeschooling and cooking and such. So I think I have it a little bit easier than some of the other parents out there. And we're just trying to, find joy and blessings in the everyday and just, new ways to connect and have fun.
Mike, how about you? How are you doing?
I think a similar situation. I've been a remote worker for over 17 years, so I was equipped and prepared for that. But now my wife is working from home. I have 2 college-aged boys who were sent home from their schools, to finish their semesters online. So all of us on top of each other is a little challenging at times. You add in no travel, no customer visits, no trade shows, and I'm not really equipped for that. And so to Brandi's, sentiment, we try and stay positive, try and stay busy. It does get hard sometimes. We're under stay-at-home orders here in Maryland, but we know we're fortunate. We're all healthy and able to work through this.
Well, Brandi, broadening the picture a bit, how is Qorvo managing to keep everyone safe while maintaining operations?
Yeah, so we have everybody working from home if they can. Obviously, not the people in the factories, but everybody else, still working from home. For our team, we've always had a remote marketing team, so we've got people in 7 different locations. So we're continuing to do video. We're trying to we're a creative team, so we're trying to figure out how to inspire each other when we can't go into the office and see people. I encourage costumes and wigs on our video conference calls, and I have one team check-in each week where there's no specific business agenda. It's just all, how are you doing? And we go around the video and chat. So I think that helps. And again, just keeping our employees safe by as many working from home as possible. In the factories, we are doing a great job. So we've had experience with this since, we have 2 factories in China. So we got in this early, and we just did a remarkable job of keeping employees safe and keeping the factories running. We had the government who came in and did audits several times, and they commented that our factories were the safest place for our employees to be rather than anywhere else. and just, makes employees feel good. Our employees have told us they actually like coming to work. They feel safe, they feel protected, they feel cared for. They have, protective garments on, protective face wear, glasses, all of that. And it's, the clean rooms and factories, ultra clean environment with the HEPA filters. And so, they feel really good there. And I think we've documented all of our best practices, and we've been sharing them with the industry, because first and foremost is to keep people safe and healthy. And so we've been sharing our best practices with some of the semiconductor industry associations. We are getting ready to return to office as soon as the government allow that, and we're going to be very careful and cautious as we do that. Not having everybody come at once, different shifts. We've already put signs out in all of the office locations for which stairs you should access to go up or down the stairs, which doors in the cafeteria. We've changed to just one entrance for the buildings, and we do infrared temperature monitoring, and then separate exits. So we're really preparing the office so it's going to be a safe place for people when they do return to work.
I think the safest place to be in a pandemic might be in a fab, a clean room.
Right, exactly. That's what our employees are saying. So yeah, things are going well, and our production, I spoke with our VP of our Texas factory yesterday, and he said performance is just doing great. The equipment is all running well. I think maybe even people are more diligent in this this whole pandemic, making sure we follow all the rules and do everything correctly. And our factory yields, everything is just it's humming along.
Oh, that's great. So responding to the pandemic, how has your messaging changed, either for your mobile or the infrastructure and defense businesses?
Yeah, messaging is still the same, because we are all about connectivity, right? And, especially in this period of everyone being quarantined, connectivity is what's keeping us all together, right? So, Qorvo has products, as in mobile phones and laptops and tablets and all kinds of infrastructure, as well as those personal devices. So our messaging is still the same. We're all about connectivity and RF, and really trying to do the really tough stuff. So as you are combining different technologies into these small devices, we're just making sure we're continuing to focus on our core, on our amplifiers and our filters, and now more than ever integrating all of that, because with the advent of 5G, right, we're having to put more and more things in a device, or adding on 5G to the cellular infrastructure. And so integration is key. Our engineers are absolutely passionate about that, and even though they're working from home, they're able to be productive with all of the design software. We're just continuing to focus on integration and making sure that we can deliver connectivity products to keep the world connected.
So of the traditional marketing channels that you use to reach your customers, sales reps, distributors, trade shows, probably the trade shows have been most affected by the pandemic being canceled, so that obviously to comply with state restrictions and limit group sizes and social distancing. You actually had to respond to the cancellation of Mobile World Congress at the end of February. And now we see that IMS is being delayed and converted to an online conference and exhibition. How are you pivoting your marketing program, not really knowing when trade shows may become normal again?
Yeah. So MWC, that was, we really had to think on our feet there, and we still continued all of the different material that we were preparing, and we just turned it into, an online a show. And so we had a microsite, said, here's what you would have seen or what you would have heard at MWC. Still came out with a bunch of new brochures and a video series and press releases and such. So, I think we will do more of the same. We will have that type of microsite environment on our web, where it's a one-stop shop that everyone can go to for that specific market, right? Because we have a bunch of different markets, whether it's mobile, whether it's, defense, and it's just, I think those microsites will help on the web. Certainly interested in the virtual conferences and what type of capabilities, how we can get out to customers there. I think doing panels, still doing presentations, those still work well over video, and we may even be able to reach more of our audience rather than just the ones who are planning to travel to a show. So I think there may be some opportunity there just to go a little more broadly.
Mike, what are you hearing from other companies in the industry about how they're working around canceled trade shows?
Yeah, so for most of the companies I'm working with, they were most concerned with IMS. And that decision is still so fresh, I mean, just the decision being made on May 1st, that I think plans are a work in progress. So initially what I was hearing was concerns over our May show issue, which we, had to proceed without any decision being made. And folks were concerned with their advertising and what we would do with the issue. And the good news for us is that the issue is not only print, but also digital and mobile app. So even in this age of remote workforces, our readers can access every issue. So that part was good. And then we're also going to add bonus distribution, digital bonus distribution to our readers and also to IMS attendees closer to the now virtual event in August. So it still becomes a very useful and valid issue still related to the show. And then post the decision, companies are looking at more show-specific activities that they were working on, like show e-newsletters that we produce, as well as on-site video programs. And so now it's working with customers to flex those activities into other options for them. And I worked with Brandi's team, interestingly enough, starting with Mobile World Congress. So they flexed that campaign they had put together. And then with that knowledge, they went forward with their IMS campaign with us as well, with flex and contingency options already in mind. So they were already ready to react as necessary, depending on the decision by IMS.
So in some cases, we hear events are shifting to online and they're just doing a technical conference without an exhibition. And obviously that's a very good conduit for technical presentations, but it doesn't allow the technical community to engage with companies to see in-booth demos or discuss their technical requirements one-on-one. Mike, are you hearing anything from companies about how they view filling the gap until people can truly gather again?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are a magazine, so print does remain strong with our advertisers. But also in the absence of physical events, people are looking for ways to engage with customers and create new contacts. And that's typically in the form of digital advertising. So we're looking at things like webinars, white papers, virtual events, some events of a virtual nature even being done by the companies themselves. I'm currently working with 3 companies just in my territory that are producing their own virtual events that they have put together quickly that we're working to promote with them. So not as frequent, I think. We do have some who are taking a cautious wait and see approach, but more often than not, they're pivoting, as Brandi is, into other options to engage with customers.
Brandi, Qorvo has always been a very strong supporter of trade shows. So how are you thinking about this?
Yeah, we certainly want to support them. In the past, most recently, we've been moving more towards meeting rooms and private spaces and not having the big show floor booth except for the Consumer Electronics Show. So it's not as much about meeting new customers. I feel like, we do a good job of that through all of the digital marketing. It's more those those close conversations with customers, right? So we're doing a lot of that with video. We're having very senior meetings still with, with our CEO, with our sales team, with our customers. And so those meetings that would have taken place at the trade shows, we're still making them happen. And there's, like you said, there's a little bit of a personal nature, right? And being invited into someone's home via video. So we're just, we're expanding our relationships a bit more.
Exactly. And you mentioned digital, talking about online engagement. What are you seeing on the Qorvo website or through your social media channels? Are you seeing more engagement?
We are. It is amazing, Gary. I thought that people would maybe, be overwhelmed with, just the added pressure and the extra responsibilities in life of, having kids home. And I know for me, my kids would have, they would eat away from the house a lot of times. They're busy at school and activities. And now that they're home, they're eating all the time. I can, barely keep the fridge stocked. And so just, some of those little extra things that I thought people wouldn't have time to be reading e-newsletters or watching videos. And it's the opposite. It's amazing. Just, one example, we released our 5G RF for Dummies book 2 years ago, and then we did a new version of that this year, and we just did an e-newsletter, and we saw 3 times the clicks in this e-newsletter than we had in our prior campaigns. So people are looking at e-newsletters. They are going to our website. Our web traffic has grown, and we looked just at March in China, and it was amazing, the traffic to our design hub, to our white papers, watching videos. So we are seeing a lot more engagement online from customers.
Mike, what can you say about the shifts that we're seeing with the online programs that are offered by Microwave Journal and Signal Integrity Journal? And based on that, what options do you recommend to companies that they consider?
Yeah, so we're seeing some similar trends. And also my deep dive into some of our web stats and things came from Brandi's team, who I think had this intuition that maybe folks working remotely did have this time. And so in looking at that for them, we found that we definitely are seeing an increase in web traffic. Webinar attendance and conversion to live attendees is greater than it had been. White paper downloads have been increasing month after month. And then general open rates and click rates on our various e-newsletters, as well as site visits and impressions on our various web properties are just generally increasing. So that's interesting to see that the sample size for the pandemic, remains small yet, but nonetheless, definitely seeing an increase. As far as recommendations on products, I don't want to be too self-serving, but in this vein of digital products, we did create for this time frame a way to replace live product demonstrations. We came up with a shortened webinar, which is 30 minutes and reduced costs to help people do product launches and things like that in the absence of physical events. Along with that, we have e-postcards that we can target to audiences. Again, works well for new product launches, very cost-effective means. And then in the vein of virtual events, we're in our 2nd year of EDICon online, and that should prove to be another good and high lead generation event. So we're excited about that.
So lots of options for people to choose from. Brandi, from your broad experience, what suggestions do you have for companies in this time in terms of their marketing focus, and particularly smaller RF microwave companies or smaller signal integrity companies that aren't as large as Qorvo, don't have the resources that Qorvo has?
I would say to partner up with co-travelers, with channel distributors. And I think it's also more interesting for the engineering customer if they can hear from a couple different companies on a panel, or an analyst. I know that we just did a webinar with one of our analysts, and normally we get 400, 500 registrants for a webinar. We had about 1,000. So again, it shows that people are willing to spend the time. And that was with an analyst, so that might have helped a bit, but that's what I would encourage for other companies. We work a lot with our distributors, and they help us to market our products, and we'll do some co-funding of some webinars and panels with some of their other suppliers.
Well, Brandi, Mike, thank you for the rich discussion today.
Absolutely, Gary. Thanks for having me. I think that none of us have gone through this, right? We are making the playbook up as we go. But I'm encouraged. Everyone I talk to is positive. Yes, we have those those negative days, and I think we need to give ourselves grace and know when to go take a walk and get away from our screens. I know I'm on my devices more than ever, and it is hard to shut off, right? There's no real end to the day. So I encourage people, to do that. Again, stay healthy. That is most important, and just figure out ways to connect and to inspire your coworkers, your family and friends from abroad, your partners and customers. Engage with them, and I think this is an opportunity for us to get closer to our customers and to really, to get into some of those personal discussions on how, some days are tough, but, Qorvo, this is what we do. This is what we love, is connecting people. And, through all of the different technologies, I think our engineers are even more passionate to see just how we are helping and, impacting and improving the world by all of the different components that are in, the devices that everyone relies on, and the networks that connect us all.
I think that's a really good message, and it's close to home with me. Over the last few weeks, most of us have been in the business a long time, and I've had folks who have just reached out to me just to check in. It's because our colleagues and our customers become our friends over the years, and our extended family. And I realized how much I appreciated it. But I didn't really respond in kind at first. And then I thought, what's wrong with me? So I've started trying to pick someone every day, every morning, that I haven't talked to in a while, and just check in with them, not about business, but how they're doing. Because I feel like we're all in this together. And then in that respect, I also want to thank you, Gary. Gary is actually the creator of this series. He had a brainstorm to do this. And I think he knew that we could bring the broader microwave industry together and learn from each other and help each other and feel connected during this pandemic. So thank you, Gary. I'm glad to be part of this.
Absolutely. I second that. And great to see you both, Gary and Mike. Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us. Our next episode, which will be available next week, will explore crafting messaging in uncertain and sensitive times. We'll hear from Stephanie Georges, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at Mercury Systems, Vanessa Boynton, the PR Director at Matter Communications, and Jill Searle, an Account Manager at Matter Communications. So watch for that. Thanks everyone for watching today.